Welcome to number 27 of I Eat, I Read, I Watch. You know the drill. This is my evening dinner with a reading or watching accompaniment. And you need to treat yourself well too and dine solo, don't just eat alone. So what am I eating this time? Well, it's creamy chicken stuffed zucchini. When a neighbor offers you a zucchini from her mother's garden, you don't say no, even though it's a big one and my fridge was already overstuffed. The very next night I found myself at loose ends, so I invited a friend over, and using that zook seemed an obvious choice. I began by cutting it lengthwise and scooping out a lot of the flesh. This baby was going to be stuffed, much like I'd planned to be afterwards. I brushed the resulting zucchini boats with olive oil, gave them a dash of salt and pepper, and got them into a 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. Then the filling. I started by chopping an onion and getting it sautéing in a pan in some olive oil. Then I chopped the zucchini innards and squeezed the moisture from them. I added some diced red pepper to the onions, and finally the zook flesh and a chopped tomato, also from my friend's mother. I covered it and let it simmer for a while, and then I removed the lid and added a chopped chicken breast left over from this week's rotisserie chicken. The breast is always the last to be used, so unappetizing on its own. I uncovered the pan and added some 10% cream and some goat cheese parmesan and a bit of the regular kind too, just 'cause. Then I went to my herb garden and plucked a few sprigs of rosemary, thyme, oregano, and basil. You can't have too much herb. That's the way I was raised. And then I added a drop of Calabrian chilies. Definitely not the way I was raised, but the way I've become. By then the zucchini boats were par-cooked, so I pulled them from the oven and stuffed them with the creamy chicken sauce. Then, of course, the final flourish was grated cheddar. Then back in the oven for 10 minutes. With a side salad of cucumbers and feta in a yogurt vinegar dressing, delish. Prep time, about 30 minutes. Origin, all Canadian, I think, except, I guess, the Calabrian chilies. Cost, about $10. Have you got a favorite way to clean the fridge? Well, put it in the comments on my blog, please. So what am I reading? As someone working on my own memoir called Lane Change, it's no surprise that Melinda French Gates' 2025 release popped into my actual or metaphoric feed. It's called The Next Day, Transitions, Change, and Moving Forward. As French Gates says on page 4, and I quote, "Another important truth about transitions is that they are usually easier to navigate together than alone." And I felt that as I read her book. Despite the fact that her life with Bill Gates made her extraordinarily wealthy, net worth $36 billion US, there is a companionability to her writing. Reading it, I felt like I would enjoy meeting her, that her power and celebrity had not gone to her head. As well as covering the various lane changes she's had in her life, including the most recent one when she divorced Bill for his infidelity, she spends quite a bit of time writing about how her conscious decision to abandon perfectionism has freed her up to explore so much more in life. I've always claimed to value completion over perfectionism myself, and if you've missed that blog, check it out on my website. While I often angst over whether to buy or borrow a book, knowing that writers struggle financially and they get more from a purchase than a library royalty, I confidently use Toronto Public Library for French Gates' book. She'll be fine. And I encourage you to do the same. Have you got a good nonfiction book to recommend? Please put it in the comments on my website. Finally, what am I watching? Well, it's a BritBox show called Here We Go. This sitcom chronicles the life events of a hetero couple, their teen son, their 20-something daughter who's just come out, a mother-in-law, and other extended family in a small city somewhere in the UK. Shot through the video cam of the son, it's deliberately full of quirky camera angles and inelegant scene cuts. The humor is gentle and believable. I like all the characters despite their very human flaws. If you're looking for something to wind down to, it's perfect. At just 22 minutes, even if you fall asleep before the end of the episode, as I do of late, it's not hard to pick it up the next night. Give it a try. And if you've got a good bedtime viewing recommendation, please add it to the comments of my website. Thanks for watching.